These are the SLC fanboys.
We're talking Star Wars The Last Jedi, spoiler-filled deep dive. In our previous segments, we talked about some of the shocking things, some of the plot twists, some of the things we did and didn't like. But let's talk in this one specifically then about the worlds that Rian Johnson has created, okay? We got several new planets, and we've got, you know, I think we can fairly say for the first time we got planets that weren't just like one thing only. I mean, you know, one particular physical, the desert planet, the snow planet, the jungle planet, you know, the forest planet. They did some very
interesting universe building in this, which Rian Johnson did, I think, excel at.
So here's we'll watch a clip that Star Wars published about the worlds of The Last Jedi, and then we'll go from there.
The first conversations you have are always about what makes something feel like Star Wars.
This is the most massive production I've ever worked on.
They've outdone themselves in terms of the sets. It makes me feel like I'm on another planet.
Every other day we're in a new, incredible location. Croatia was the perfect place to shoot Canto Bight. We're in this alleyway in Dubrovnik, smashing speeders. It was just one of those, oh my gosh, what are we doing? This is amazing moments. The other big new world is Crait. We shot in Bolivia on the salt flats.
It's got this red mineral covered with salt flakes that gives it sort of a white blank canvas.
What would a battle on a planet like that look like? We also shot on Skellig Michael off the coast of Ireland.
It's very weird to be back on Skellig shooting 8.
Here we go, Raj.
Feels really nice to put Luke Skywalker in front of a camera. And turn. Woo, Lord. Cut.
Cover.
You've never seen anything like this. There's just this magical feeling that you get, and you're transported to another world.
We're working in pretty high places, dangerous places. I think it's worth it because everything is gorgeous.
All right.
And those were his strengths. I mean, I think he did sets good. I think he handled the dialogue well. I think the feature that we just watched there, the location shoots, these were all things that Rian Johnson did very, very well to, I would even say, excellent.
They all looked cool. I mean,
I agree.
He
I completely agree.
it well.
Yeah.
I liked the way he introduced like each planet, and it wasn't until I thought about it afterwards I was like, yeah, these aren't all just single feature planets, and there's something cool about them. I actually learned some stuff about it even after the fact. Canto Bight supposedly has trees from Alderaan on it.
Oh.
So that's kind of a cool little inside thing.
That's cool. I loved particularly, I mean, and I'll give all the credit in the world to Rian Johnson for world building with Star Wars. Like I said, I think if you keep him away from the themes of the saga films, when he makes his new trilogy in a new time and a new place.
And he can invent his planets.
And invent his story that will be thematically consistent within itself, and he's not going to, kind of rob characters of legacies and things like that. I think he has a shot and is probably going to build some very rich and engaging Star Wars worlds and stories.
Do you think the planets in this movie were better than the planets we got introduced to in Rogue One?
No!
With the exception of Scarif, yes. Scarif was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
But I liked Canto Bight, and more even than the planets, I loved all of his creatures. I don't ever think I've seen so many Star Wars creatures that I love, from the racing camel-type creatures on Canto Bight. Yeah. Well, I liked when they were in the stables. I thought that they were really lovable creatures.
I thought the Crystal Wolves were kind of a ripoff from Star Wars Rebels.
There's a whole
scene in the current season of Star Wars Rebels where this wolf is like guiding.
Those are big wolves.
People on Lothal. I know, but these were smaller.
These are crystal foxes, by the way.
They were doing the exact same thing. They were doing the exact same thing.
Whatever. Well, I liked the way that they looked. I thought they were gorgeous. I mean, I liked the way that they looked, the way they kind of, they tinkled as the shards moved. They seemed friendly, yet at the same time very strong.
Yep.
And then, of course, we've got to talk about the PORGS.
Porgs
Yeah,
were fine.
on
Oh,
Ahch-To.
I wanted Chewie to take a bite so
You
bad.
did. You wanted Chewie to
so
eat the pork.
bad. That was a great scene, but I really wanted him to take a little nibble.
You know, that was one of the more unintentionally, tragically cute scenes. Sense.
Where the lip is
no,
wibbling.
No, when the Ewok's mom died.
Yeah.
Oh,
and he
yeah.
was like, like
I
that. was like,
hated that as a
I hated
kid.
that because I was like, when I saw Chewie about ready to bite into with the pork looking at him, I thought it's kind of like that. I was like, man, if it even does the little mama thing, I might lose it here.
I love how they started to nest in the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
I mean, they were everywhere. They were great.
But they didn't overrun it, and they didn't have to play a critical role in the resolution of
No.
anything.
You
That
know what?
to me is what a good
they left
creature
it.
is.
They left me wanting more. They really did.
I agree.
wanted to see more of them. So good job.
I agree. What about Adam? You're a real space battle guy. What did you think of all the new ships?
Yeah, what did you think?
The
Because
bombers.
I'm Space Battle guy too.
The bombers, I like the bombers. I gotta tell you, the new Capital ships didn't do anything for me. Just
What?
B-2
They're
bombers.
so- yeah,
I mean,
they
they're just
were-
giant B-2 bombers.
they were
didn't
boring.
really.
And
they-
why are they so big? Why is the First Order? Why does it have to be so massive?
Yeah, and
The
and
Executor was massive enough, and I swear the new Snoke ship was like twice as size, 3 times
the
as big.
boomerang. It really wasn't my
Yeah, it
It
favorite.
looked like the
Boomerang.
spy ships, the SR-71
Yeah.
Blackbird.
Yes.
No.
no, it looked like
No,
the
it
B-2
looked
bomber.
like
not the
B-2
black.
bombers.
Looks like B-2 bomber. The
The-
stealth bomber.
Oh,
The
that's
stealth
what it's
bomber.
called. Okay,
Flying one,
okay.
yeah.
I was thinking B-2 like a B-52, so I had the wrong.
I mean, I love the effects. I think the effects somehow get better and better. I guess I was surprised as the movie played out that, wow, one ship trailing another is going to be a central
An
plot.
hour and a half.
Because
Yes.
that seemed more like an
my gosh.
episode of.
I was mad
Yeah,
at that.
and
Amazing.
you know, it could have
Small
been
screen.
it could have been half as long. And to be honest,
but I
there were
liked
more
it. It could have
creative
been half as
ways
long.
to do that kind of thing. It could have been much more of a cat and mouse game.
They
Yeah.
could have moved on and
Put an
and
asteroid
hung
belt in
down.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, good idea.
You
Haven't
know,
thought of that one.
You know who did the chase really well was Battlestar Galactica, the first episode of Battlestar Galactica, the series 33, where they had 33 minutes and the other guys showed up and they couldn't figure out how.
Yeah, it was
they
a
couldn't
basic-
figure out why, and they couldn't rest because every 33
It was one
minutes.
ship in the fleet that was being tracked, just like in this movie. They figured out it was one ship that's being tracked.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Since when do ships in Star Wars universe have to refuel?
I actually kind of like that concept because it started to make
It's
some
new.
sense.
They always did.
Yeah, because
But they just
even
never
in
said
New
it in the
Hope, they're
movie.
pulling the hoses up to the X-wings to fuel them before the attack on the Death Star. Actually, when they said that was the issue, is they're running out of fuel, I'm like,
And
you
they
know
did
what?
on
That
Naboo, too,
makes
didn't
sense. That makes sense.
Plus, it
I
had,
really like
that
that.
caps that
The
means
Millennium
that there's an
Falcon
end
never
to it.
refueled.
Otherwise, so you know the whole time they can't make the chase go forever. That there is a
So
point that
here's-
it has to end.
Here's the thing. I did not understand. I was so mad during this whole hour and 45-minute chase scene. I could not get why the ship can overtake the rebels or vice versa. I'm like, why can't they go faster? And
well, they're limited by speed.
Okay, so I get.
So-
So now I kind of get that. They must be thrusting at maximum. And so
That's what they said.
And so if I'm
What they've decided to
if
do
I'm-
was
Phrasing,
follow
phrasing.
physical laws for
If-
this one movie for one subplot.
so weird.
That's what they tried to do.
If I'm because from the camera shots they did not look that far apart. It's just out of reach. So if
I think the
I'm,
perspective
if I'm
off
Hux,
is off because
if I'm Hux, why don't I just be like, hey, send like 500.
Because
TIE
the shields
fighters
were
to go.
strong enough, the TIE fighters couldn't do anything to it, and they
All
could
right,
shoot down the
then
TIE
here's,
fighters.
here's the next thing. You stop for like an hour and a half, and you think, and you're still tracking him, and then you do one small light speed jump, and you're right behind him, and you're like,
Okay, well, we'll get you the number for General Hux. We'll give him a call after the podcast.
You can call him, and you can
and,
hold
and
for
give
him.
him some advice. Consult.
I can't be the only one thinking this was like so deliberate and so long and
Well,
so.
why didn't she turn the ship around and ram it an hour
Kind of
before?
annoying.
You know,
Because
and
everybody was still on the ship.
Get him off.
She was trying. The refueling, remember, it took a long time to get
Yeah.
some fuel.
Somewhat actually completely off topic, and this just came to mind. Before we move on to the next segment, the one creature that I have to say that I did love. I mean, I did not
the
love
green milk spewer.
No,
Oh my gosh.
no, I wasn't a fan of that.
Didn't need
and
the
I
big
didn't.
nipple.
I liked
was
the
good.
camel things in Canto Bight. I didn't love most of the Canto Bight set, but the one thing that I did love from Canto Bight was the drunk little goblin who kept trying to force
Yes.
points
Yes.
into
BB-8.
BB-8.
Because that's how
That was
BB-8
funny.
took out the guards.
Yeah,
later.
yeah, yeah. That was a great
Here's
moment.
a question: who was cuter, the Porgs or BB-8 in this?
Porgs.
Porgs.
You didn't think BB-8 running around in an ATST? That
BB-8 was
hilarious.
cute, but he does not have a quibbling
Ewoks in an
lower
ATST
lip.
10 times cuter.
Well, yeah, exactly. And here's the thing. With the ATST kind of coming off of its base and then hitting something and ripping the entire top off so you can just see
too
BB-8s
perfect.
in it.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, I hated that shot.
Why? That was so funny.
What?
And then they're trying to have
Is it
plot,
made of paper?
and you watch.
It's like a breakaway
It's an
tux.
armored-
Come on.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, but still, then you've got BB-8 wobbling around like a drunken person in the background while they're trying to have these things
Yes,
happen.
but
and then
it was-
there's this AT. I love that.
Yeah, it was funny, but revealing he was in there should have been
Oh, and
different.
Captain Phasma died around all this stuff.
Okay, so now here's something, a little bit of interesting thing. We've been talking about the ships. This is an interesting little side note to enhance it for you. The ship that they are on, the old calamari thing that
It's a Mon Calamari cruiser.
It's left over from the original, the Galactic Civil War,
Uh-huh.
and it is named the Radis, Adam.
Is it really?
It
The
really
Radis.
is named
Nice.
the Radis.
Is this the
Greatest-
one that Laura Dern took at
Yes.
light speed through,
Yes.
through the
Yes.
And
Imperial
so
fleet?
Adam had an interesting point when I told him this
Yes,
before.
nice.
What does that
I
mean,
forget.
Adam? If
Radis has now sacrificed himself twice.
for
Yeah,
the
he has.
rebellion.
Yes. He
And
has given
saved the
himself
rebellion twice.
Saved their butts twice. I mean, the first thing that Admiral Akbar wanted to do when they came in range of the second Death Star is quit and run. That's the first thing Admiral Akbar wanted to do.
Yeah.
What's the first thing Admiral Radis wanted to do?
Gets on his ship and he goes straight
press
to
the
Scarab.
attack. No, we got to attack.
Well,
We gotta
after this
attack.
movie, Admiral Akbar's not going to get a chance to rectify that mistake.
He will be left to the ash heap of history
He's
while,
hanging- he's
while
hanging-
generations will celebrate
He's
Lord Mattis.
He's hanging out with Yondu.
Or Radis, it's Radis.
Lord
right?
Radis.
Radis, whatever.
Okay, so now that we've effectively ruined
The
Admiral
good
Akbar,
Akbar.
Hang on, though. Crait was awesome. Gotta say.
It was well
it
done.
was cool.
The-
I was wishing it was a salt. The first time when he took a step on that salt flat, I thought it was blood.
I did too. I'm like, why
Like,
is this guy
he's already
bleeding so much?
wounded. But then I was like, what's the dude
Okay,
tasting?
yeah.
it
No,
for?
I saw it
Go
was
back.
red
So
soil,
we're
and
doing-
in the moments where the red soil exploded, those sorts of things, those were great visual effects. I mean, it was a great battle scene, minus
That was a
kind of the
good callback.
subplots.
I
that
feel
were
like that was
The
a
surrounding
Finn
good
it.
sacrifice thing was a little hammy.
Now, I actually talked to somebody who was so upset. Or no, it was you. that was so upset
Probably.
that
Some
Finn
guy.
was going to sacrifice himself and then got
Yes.
stopped at the
Are we
last
talking about
second.
that right now?
Well,
Because that made me angry. I love Finn to death. But I thought, what a fitting way for him to go out and save so many people and really make a difference. Take out that
Stick it
Death
to the
Star
First
gun.
Order.
I actually
Stick
agree with
to
you,
the
by the
First
way.
Order. When Rose knocked him out of his
That would
his
have been the shock
trajectory,
of all shocks.
I was so livid. And I was actually hoping that Rose died there after the little peck. She didn't.
Her
But-
last thing was a kiss.
No, the last thing I was like, oh my gosh, they're really going to take out Finn. This is so amazing. And then, boom! No. I was really mad, actually. I thought that was a fitting way for him to go. I thought that would have invested me emotionally more into the film. I didn't feel invested into the film emotionally for a lot of it, outside of maybe a little bit of Leia and some Luke. I just didn't. I don't know. And the first time that Chewie barges into Luke's habitat, like, that was amazing. I thought,
Yeah, that was a great
I thought,
shot.
oh my
That
gosh,
was a
was
great
that
scene.
Rey using the Force, and then it was
It's Chewie.
Chewie's back. Shut up. There we go. That's not even good either. But yeah, knocking Finn off of his suicide trajectory made me mad.
Well, see, now we're going to go back into the things that made me mad because now you brought this up. Now it made
No,
me
Well,
mad.
well, and that's a good place
just
to
talking about
to
it. No,
but
take
I'm
a
just
break
saying
for our
that
next
it made me
segment.
think, like, I didn't think they handled the reunions as well as I would have liked.
No,
And-
you're right.
Both Luke's reunion with Chewie. I mean, the part where he's like, "Where's Han?"
Even with
like, that was a good
C-3PO,
scene.
should have
Right.
been a little more with Luke.
Or
and it was
even
just
Luke
kinda,
and
hey.
R2-D2. I mean,
I agree.
The scene where Luke, one of the most emotional parts of the movie was when he shows him the
Leia.
message
You're
again.
my only hope.
I
Yeah.
loved that.
I
That
agree.
was a great touch.
That was cheap.
But I really wish that Luke had had a different reunion. Like, R2, hey, you're my old friend from, like, you're the...
Well, he kind of did, but he's just
But it
not.
was too quick.
It was.
I don't know.
It was like R2, hey buddy,
Well-
what's up? And then there's Poe with BB-8. He really likes his droid. I mean,
Yeah.
BB-8 comes up, he's rubbing his tummy like
You
he's a
forget
dog.
that BB-8
Oh my
is
gosh,
Poe Dameron's
BB-8.
Yeah, I know you do forget
Very
because he never
easy.
hangs with
Did you
Poe.
love it how like that reunion though when he's like rubbing it like a dog and like I mean that was like
Yeah.
emotional, right?
So Luke has a droid for friggin' 30 years that started his
Right?
whole adventure. He's like, how's it going, R2?
Yeah.
But Poe gets this
Lame.
big old nice reunion.
Well, and when
That's on the director.
when we come back, we'll talk about these things
All
that we
right.
most lament and how we hope that they are rectified in the future.
All right.
I will tell you though, the My favorite line
Yeah.
was obviously, I'm holding for hugs. The second best line was near the end. Oh, they hate that ship.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah!
I was like, that
was good.
That was a laugh out loud moment.
Who said that?
That was Finn that
Do you
said
remember?
that, right?
Was it Finn?
Was it Finn
Or
that said that?
Yeah, it was Finn.
Oh, it
I
was
believe
Finn.
it
I
was
don't
Finn.
remember, but that was a great line. You're right.